Welcome back to the program, and as we continue to follow the turbulence in Turkey, I just want to correct myself. Of course, Prime Minister Erdogan's party is called the Justice and Development Party, not, as I said, the Freedom and Justice Party. So, on the surface, the demonstration in Istanbul's Taksim Square may look a bit like Cairo's Tahrir Square, but Turkey today is not Egypt 2011. It is a democracy and it has a thriving economy. But my next guest wonders whether the past week will nonetheless be remembered as the week that changed Turkey's politics in the 21st century. He is Soli Özel, a columnist and a lecturer in international relations at Kadir University in Istanbul. He's currently serving as visiting professor at Northwestern University, and he joins me now from Cairo. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, I'm in Chicago.
Yes, you are indeed, and I'm getting confused because I called his party the name of the Egyptian party. So let's gather our thoughts and let me ask you what you made of the officials' comments that A, there will be no mall. That seems to me the first time I've heard this. B, there will be an investigation into this violence. And C, that most of these people don't represent any kind of legitimate opposition.
Well, let's start with the mall. The idea or the fact that there was going to be a mall in the barracks, in the newly reconstructed barracks, was the news that the Prime Minister himself broke to the country, and he said there would be a mall and residences. So nobody made it up. So, and then it was somewhat retracted, and I think yesterday in the interview that he gave, the Prime Minister said, well, maybe we will turn it into a museum of Istanbul. No, it's not going to be residences, maybe it may be a hotel. So the mall is out of the equation, thankfully. As to whether or not, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people crossing the bridge at 5 in the morning, that strikes me a bit odd to note them as marginal groups. I'm sure there are marginal groups. There are marginal groups in such big occasions everywhere, and most of the time, to the extent that I could follow it, the majority of the crowd had tried to contain these guys and tried to stop them. That there's been cases of vandalism is true, but when you look at the dimensions of this, it had been rather, to the best of my knowledge, it had been rather limited. So to say that this was all instigated by marginal groups is certainly wrong. So what really instigated this? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, what really instigated it, and what is the bigger picture? What is the bigger meaning of this, and what should we be taking away from what we're seeing?
What really instigated this was the excessive use of force of the police against those tree-hugging guys in the park. They raided the park at 5 in the morning Thursday morning, burnt the tents, and as they always do, they liberally used tear gas or pepper gas. And the country, I mean the city, or all the cities are under the pepper gas cloud. Now, what we should make out of this is that ultimately an urban, educated, mobile, 21st century public basically broke the wall of fear and basically told the Prime Minister and the ruling party that they are also citizens of this country, that they would rather be talked to rather than be talked at. And rather than actually everything coming top down, they would like to have a say over what's going to happen to their city. Istanbul is an important city. Istanbul is a historical city. Istanbul is not Dubai. You cannot really build things as you see fit there. You cannot do arrangements like that. And the citizens basically asked to be heard. And in that sense, I think what we've seen is the mobilization of citizenry, nothing more, nothing less.
So, Mr. Özel, how does this change? How does it end?
Well, it will probably subside at some point unless the excessive use of force continues. I don't think the government is in the mood to actually hear what the crowds have said. This is the first setback, by the way, by the Prime Minister in his decade-long reign as well. I think we need to really rehash the way we do our politics. This is not about the opposition party. The opposition party didn't really have anything to do with this. It didn't instigate it. It cannot really get its act together to begin with. That is precisely why the public itself took matters into its own hands. And quite frankly, obviously, this is not necessarily the natural constituency of the ruling party, but there were enough people who, even in their constituency, that sympathized with what was going on, and we'll have to wait for the reaction from Anatolia, the core supporters of the ruling party. And even there, I think there is some sympathy that this degree of pressure from top-down management style is really getting out of hand.
Soli Özel, thank you so much for joining me from Chicago and not Cairo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back with a final word after a break.